All right, WDGR Society, listen up. Our last community game night was another huge success, with Drew and company firing up Halo, the Master Chief Collection. Next week, game night continues with a game I'm very much looking forward to. Have you ever been curious to control a mecha-style exoskeleton that stands roughly 7 to 10 meters tall? If so, join us on Saturday, December 21st for Titanfall 2. Even better, you can download it for free this month with PS Plus. We'll be playing game types such as Amped Hardpoint, Pilot vs. Pilot, Attrition, and Titan Brawl. Your dreams of wall running and cloaking in a science fiction universe can and will come true between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, December 21st. We look forward to seeing your Titan dreams become a reality. For more details, be sure to find us on Discord as well as our website, WDGRPodcast.com. I'll see you guys there.
Hey everybody, welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. You're listening to episode 54 for the week of December 8th, 2019. I'm your host, Drew, and I am joined by the guy I haven't talked to in weeks, Will.
Dude, it is good to be back.
Man, we are having some craziness happening right now. We are in the middle of a Discord outage.
Yes.
And it feels weird, like we're on Skype instead of Discord to record.
I know, I'm staring at this old profile picture of myself with like
God.
a different haircut and a weird t-shirt.
Is that like, I'm not sure if that's like a Metal Gear t-shirt or a Town Fair Tire t-shirt.
You know, I could see the resemblance in both, but it actually says England like multiple times. Some kind of like soccer t-shirt that I got from Dick's Sporting Goods. like why? Like,
Oh my
I don't
God.
even know why I exist in that photo. I'm
Oh
not
my
even
God.
sure like why I took it. It must have just been like, hey, let me get a fresh pic for Skype.
Oh my God, this is so bad. I don't even know what to say.
I look so, I don't know, gleeful.
Yeah.
Like maybe somebody presented me with like a giant bag of sour worms and I had like a sweet tooth hankering.
You must have taken this photo before you got married.
Yeah, dude, I totally look single here. It's either I was single or we were just dating. Who fucking knows?
Dude, how are you, man?
I'm well, man. I honestly, I'm over the moon that we're back on the mic again. And,
Yeah.
you know, just kind of, we've been absent, but, you know, busy, which is good.
Yeah, we had like this crazy 50th episode extravaganza. I was hoping to get 2 episodes worth of content out of it. We had 4. And it was kind of nice to step away from our regular recording schedule while those episodes were going live. But I'm really glad to kind of be back at it again, man. I miss this. I miss what we're doing right now.
100%. I think, you know, I thought about it a lot, like when we were taking this sort of hiatus, if you will, and you know, this is kind of the core of what we do, and I think it's, you know, really, you know, pleasurable to just be back in the seat in front of the mic. You know, we've got our mic arms hooked up, we've got you know, some new equipment, and it just feels good to be back. I'm excited to talk about some games and find out what we have and have not been playing.
Yeah, and I have a lot to talk about today, actually. So I'm looking forward to it. But let's get the business out of the way. We're on the web at www.wdgrpodcast.com. That's wdgrpodcast.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at WDGRPodcast, at WDGRPodcast. And of course, you can always send us an email at wdgrpodcast@gmail.com. We have a Discord room. Got a lot of people in there chatting about video games on a daily basis. Come on by and say hi. The link for that is in the show notes. If somebody would like to follow you, Will, on social media, how can they find you?
Sure. It's going to be Will_Gear.
You can find me at ScionStorm. And, oh, yeah, we have a Twitch now, too.
We do. We do.
Almost forgot about that. That's twitch.tv/WDGR. It is so great having the same name for all the social media.
You know, that's a great point, Drew. It's one thing that I think I overlooked, but now that you mention it, we've been very lucky to have the same name for, like you said, I'm pretty sure everything.
Yeah, it's really difficult to get that these days.
It really is.
So that makes me happy.
It makes me happy too. And I'm
But,
glad you brought that up. That
yeah.
definitely brought an additional smile to my already ridiculous profile photo. And mind you, folks, I am not smiling like that. Maybe I'll have to put that in the
Oh
Discord
my
room
god,
for
you
a
need to
couple
post this
laughs.
photo. This is like the creepiest fucking photo of you I've ever seen in my life.
We got to make it like a meme.
I feel like you're gonna murder me after the show.
I know, I'm like leaning forward slightly in the chair, which is also kind of alarming.
Oh god. We did have a mailbag segment set up for this episode, but as we've alluded to at the beginning of the show, Discord is currently in the middle of an outage. So we are actually unable to access our own chat room.
Sorry.
Apologies to everybody who took the time to send in questions. We do appreciate them. I'm going to save them for next week. Hopefully there's nothing in there that's not evergreen. I don't think there's anything there that's really time-based, so we should be good.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a couple of the questions in there, but I wouldn't want to just freeball it.
Yeah,
So.
I think that's unfair to the people that ask questions. But in the future, folks, if you have any questions that you'd like to submit to the mailbag, you could do so in our Discord room or shoot us an email at wdgrpodcast@gmail.com. We do accept questions there as well, too.
Indeed.
What have you been playing, dude?
Not much, man. I'll be honest, I've been doing a lot of, just kind of life events and just living and existing and been busy with just adulting stuff. So I haven't had too much time. However, I did pick up Death Stranding. I don't know if I mentioned that on the last show. I may have, or I may have expressed that I was going to be purchasing it on day one, and I did.
It wasn't out when we recorded the 50th.
I guess not. But yeah, I fired that up, and it's been really fucking bizarre, but I expected it to be bizarre, and I've played a very short amount of it, but enough to know that I think it's the right fit for me. It's the right kind of bizarre that I'm looking for in a Kojima game, and I agree with Joe. I think he's on the same page as me that it's just bizarre, and it's expected to be bizarre. So I'm excited to see where it takes me, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it. But other than that, man, I really haven't had too much on the radar.
Yeah.
I've had more on the radar in terms of games that I'd like to check out.
Like what?
Which I'm going to... I was going to say, which I'll mention later, but I'll mention it right now.
Let's get into
Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Yeah, Joe's been talking a lot about that game. He's been really pushing for us to check it out. He yelled at me because I didn't want to pay full price for it.
Yeah.
But I mean that too is a game that I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's I've checked it out once before when he initially mentioned it to me because Joe is very in tune with what kind of games I like. He's got a knack for that, and he sent it my way some time ago, and I remember watching a couple videos, and it looks cool. It definitely looks totally up my alley. It's very sort of neon and 80s kind of vibe going on with it, and it's got cool music that reminds me of churches and some other groups that I like. So yeah, it looks good. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up immediately. Initially, I wanted to, but I want to feel it out just a little bit more before I invest the $12 or whatever. And I know that sounds pathetic, but the last thing I want to do is whole $14. But yeah, no, I just want to be careful. I don't want to add another game to my backlog when I know I'm not going to play it.
Yeah.
So I need to just do a little bit more research, maybe watch a couple more videos just to make sure. But I think that it definitely will be something that I'm going to pick up shortly because it just looks very fun. It looks very unique.
Yeah.
And, I like stuff like that. It looks cool. It's definitely potentially a Will's cool game. So.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it is something that qualifies as a WCG.
Yes.
And you know what? Like, I'm really into that kind of aesthetic for gaming as well, too. I like the idea of using the purples and blues and just that style, that art style is right up my alley. Music in a game is super important to me as well. And I listened to the soundtrack actually a couple weeks ago, and I liked what I heard, although I felt like the soundtrack was short. So I don't know if it's a matter of maybe I just was listening to a bad version of it in the game and like the songs were cut, or maybe they're meant to be looped. I don't know. I need to look into that a little bit further. But it was definitely, something I want to check out. And I've just been like really choosy about what I pay full price for these days. Especially with the holidays. When we're recording this, it's December 7th. So we have less than 20 days before Christmas. And it's an expensive time of year.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, when you're drowning in a backlog like we are,
Yeah.
you're a little bit more sensitive to what you said, paying full price for, a game at $63, with tax and everything is
Right.
kind of a big deal when you know that you're probably not going to get to it right away. So
Right.
I totally feel you on the choosiness side of things. It's a real thing.
Yeah. And like, the backlog, like you said, is like a huge, huge thing for me. I have so many games that I'm in the middle of that, I'm consciously thinking about beating. A couple of them I have,
Yeah.
but I mean, like the backlog is still looming.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like, we've touched on the backlog issue so many times on the show.
And
And
I don't want to be like a broken record with it. But.
No, it's hard not to, but I feel like every time we approach it, there's almost like a new analogy or metaphor that we have with it. So it's like, I was just thinking about how you spend a lot of time fantasizing about beating a game. So you might think about, I don't know, take Horizon Zero Dawn and you think, man, like, God, it would feel so good to beat that game. And you visualize in your mind what it would be like beating it, like maybe just seeing the credits rolling.
Yeah.
And then you go and pet a cat instead. So,
basically.
you don't get round to it. But it's fun to think about.
Oh my God. I've had dreams about beating Horizon.
Oh my gosh.
I really have. But that is the good news is I put the nail in the coffin on Spider-Man.
Oh wait, you did?
I beat Spider-Man.
Holy shit! Okay, I need to like document this moment.
I already
3:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I filled out my spreadsheet. I have a little spreadsheet that I'm keeping with my the games that I beat, and So Spider-Man. I don't have a start date for Spider-Man, but it was I want to say February, because I started tracking this so I can like kind of shame myself into playing these games. Okay, that's definitely correct. Okay. Yeah, for some reason, like I did something to the spreadsheet yesterday to like properly put in the date, and it changed it to like July of 2005 for some reason. So that's absolutely incorrect. But yeah, no, I beat it last night. I desperately just needed a day to play like video games, just sit at home, just play a fucking video game, and
hunker down.
I feel bad because like I was supposed to meet up with a buddy of mine for lunch, and like I was just having a shitty week at work. Like I was just exhausted, and like my hours changed. I'm still not getting quite used to them, and I just needed to like just spend some time at home, you know. So I sent them a message and I said, hey man, I'm really sorry. Can we get together next week? I just need a day to myself. And he was pretty cool about it. You know, he's an adult. He gets it.
Yeah.
So basically I woke up yesterday and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to play Spider-Man until I beat it. And I did. I was so close to begin with. Like I was at like 83% completion, which actually is kind of misleading because I feel like I was closer to like 95%. I saw that, but what a great fucking game, man. I cannot recommend Spider-Man enough to anybody that likes video games, and the price of it right now is just so right. It's like $20. If you haven't played it, there's no excuse right now. You can buy the game with the DLC, and there's 3 DLC packs. It's $20.
Wow. That's a pretty solid deal.
There is so much gameplay in here. Now, I stuck with the story. I really struggled with my OCD to not go out and do all the side missions. But I'm like, you know, if I don't like fucking like zero in on this, it's never going to get done. So I looked up really quickly. I'm like, can I go back and play the DLC later once you beat the game? And the answer is yes, you can. Or not the DLC, the side missions rather. And yes, you can. So once you beat the game, basically you have an open map, and anything that you haven't completed is still there. So if I want to go around swinging and doing those side missions, I can still do it. And you know what?
Yeah.
Like, that was, I think, the mental block that I needed to see. That like that stuff is still going to be there. It's not like once you beat the game, like that's it. You know, like too bad.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, this is an impressive moment for you because even though Spider-Man is not, you know, Witcher 3 in comparison in terms of, you know, game length and what there is to do, but just beating a AAA title that's relevant like that is a pretty big deal for us. It's like your Twitter post, like I beat a game. Like it's definitely something you want to make a post about. I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, we've beaten a couple indie games this year. And those are smaller. They tend to be more bite-sized experiences. This is something that's a little bit more significant that, really requires a time investment.
Mm-hmm.
And while it's not of the length of The Witcher, like you said, it still is a pretty lengthy game. The story was great. The voice acting was great. The cinematics were great. Like, I really felt like I was in a Marvel movie the entire time I was playing. And like, I'm not a comic book fan. Everything I know about Spider-Man, I know from the movies,
Mm-hmm.
the Tobey Maguire movies and the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I didn't get the ones in between those. I don't remember who played it. Andrew Garfield, maybe? I don't know. I never saw those, but so my scope of knowledge for Spider-Man is very narrow, but it doesn't matter for this game. Like, they give you everything you need to know, and it really is an island into itself. The story is really well done. It definitely makes you feel like things, like
Mm-hmm.
you get angry when you're supposed to get angry. You get sad when you're supposed to get sad. And they did a nice job of introducing characters and kind of leaving things open-ended for a possible sequel.
Sure.
The gameplay is magnificent. The graphics are fantastic. I was playing on an original PlayStation 4. I can only imagine what this looks like on a Pro. Buy the game. Just buy it. Don't even think about it. Buy it.
I'm with you, and it gets me kind of excited hearing about this game because we've spoken about it before, but I think Spider-Man as a whole is just kind of an underutilized superhero in a lot of ways, because even though we've seen movies, even going back as far as the 80s and stuff, and like the newer ones with Andrew Garfield, and I think there was another guy recently that did the role.
Yeah.
But
the
I
newest
feel like
one is Tom Holland. He's doing the one with the Avengers and that.
Yeah, but I would just like to see more of him, just generally, because I think that he is underutilized and we don't hear about him enough, and everybody knows who Batman is and Superman and the Avengers and all that stuff, but I'd like to see more Spider-Man games, more takes on just him as a whole, and man, I mean, without going off into like the movie realm, I think I would love to see Chris Nolan's approach to Spider-Man, because if he could do something similar to the Batman series with Spider-Man, I would love to see something like that unfold.
That would be interesting. I don't know how I would feel about that. I feel like that may be too dark of a look on the character.
It could be. It could be, because Spider-Man, he isn't really a dark character such as Batman.
No.
And I think Chris Nolan is a little bit more of a dark movie maker. He approaches that kind of scene a little bit more often than others. But yeah, I think Spider-Man is a little bit more fun and sort of exciting, and I think that's perhaps a little bit more fitting for other directors and other actors. But gaming-wise, I think I'd like to see more, and even if it's just Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or something like that, just anything that has Spider-Man in it and some kind of remaster would be cool to see.
I hope that they make another game, another Spider-Man game. I don't know if there's any intention to. Like I remember like the Arkham Asylum games were super popular for a while, so I think when you have a successful formula that gives people a sense of like they want more, but not like I feel like if they made another Spider-Man game, like it would be wildly successful, because the game was so well received and is so much fun to play that I think, at least for me, like I want more of that. And it's rare for me to say that I want a sequel to a game. It's rare for me to say I want more of the same. But like if they made like another Spider-Man game, I would probably buy it like immediately. I'm really tempted to buy the DLC at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, I would. It just looks like such a fun game, from all the videos I've watched. And, I think Damien was streaming at one point, and even just the combat looked so fun. It was very reminiscent of some of the Assassin's Creed games in terms of how the combat is done. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes a little bit of button mashing and a little bit of, less tightness with combat sometimes can not be such a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. Outside of Spider-Man, I've been playing, well, let's see here. Since last time we talked, I've played a little bit more Control. I hit a wall with that game with a boss battle. So
Okay.
I think I need to kind of like go to a different area and explore and get some more power before I can kind of go back to that boss. That's the nice thing about this type of game is like I can backtrack and go to other areas and kind of unlock more abilities and then kind of circle back to it again.
Yep.
So I just haven't had the attention span for it. So I've kind of put that aside for the time being. Let's see here. PlayStation, I really have only been focusing on Spider-Man. Xbox, I was dabbling with Ori and the Blind Forest for a while. We played Halo for a game night. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
On the Switch, I've been playing a game called The Messenger. I bought that a couple weeks ago on sale.
Yep.
And that's kind of like a nice... I think the easy comparison is Ninja Gaiden.
Okay. Wow.
Visually, it looks a lot like it. I would say it's less punishing than Ninja Gaiden, but
Okay.
it's still a difficult game, but very meta. Very, very tongue-in-cheek. The game is very aware of itself, and a lot of the dialogue that occurs between you and a shopkeeper is all just very inside jokes. And they do make a Ninja Gaiden reference at one point, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
If you're into side-scrollers that have a sense of humor but are still challenging, I think this is a good game to check out. It's very well received by critics. It's got a 10 out of 10 on Steam. And like I think Metacritic has it like at a 94% or something like that.
So when, not to interrupt, but when you mention side-scrolling, are you hearkening back to similarities with the older Ninja Gaiden games?
Oh, this looks like Ninja Gaiden 1.
Oh, I see. Okay, for a second I was thinking about like Xbox Ninja Gaiden.
No. This is very much a 16-bit kind of look.
Understood.
Now, my understanding is that at some point the game changes to something else. I don't know to what capacity that is. I don't know if it's a visual change or a stylistic change. But I haven't reached that part yet. I could be wrong. I could be confusing it with a different game. But it's worth checking out. I definitely recommend it. If you haven't seen it, it's an indie game, so shouldn't be too expensive. I think I got it for less than $10.
And that's the beautiful thing about indie games is they're usually very memorable and very inexpensive.
Oh yeah. What else? Let's see here. Genesis Mini. I bought one last night.
You did, you fucker.
They went on sale for $50, and I was gonna get it at Amazon. I was gonna use my Amazon points.
Yep.
And then I saw that they had it at Best Buy, and I had a $10 coupon that I must have got from my Amazon card or my Best Buy card, because I usually bank my points. I don't have them auto cash in, and I had this $10 reward points that were going to expire in like 6 days. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to use that. And then I'm like, well, I really don't want to pay any cash for this. So I still had like $55 banked. So I cashed in 40 of that, which covers the full cost between the two coupons, right? So this isn't going to cost me any money out of pocket. But I forget every time that I do this that like when you use your reward zone points, they don't charge tax. So my total was like $52. It's like $53 before tax, right?
Okay.
Or with tax. When you use the coupons, you're not paying money, so there's no tax. So now I'm at $49.99, and they're like, you can't do this unless you buy something that's more than $49.99.
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
So didn't this fucking happen to you once before?
It happens to me all the fucking time.
Every fucking time. And
So-
last time, now let me say something here.
Yeah.
Last time, I'm pretty sure you had to buy a fucking Reese's cup, right?
Yeah, but I was in the store when I did it. This was
Okay.
This was at 12:30 at night. I'm at home on my laptop. in
Right.
bed. So like I couldn't just buy a fucking Reese's cup. Like I had to buy something else. So like
Can you imagine if you were able to though?
Oh my god, I would have. Are you kidding me? Like just to get it over that
shipped.
dollar. Give me a pack of gum.
You overnight it.
Oh yeah. So the first thing I did was like, all right, let me look at the clearance games. Let me see what the cheapest game I can possibly find is. And like it was like garbage. Like they really didn't have anything. I almost bought a game called Starlink, which comes with like a toy. It's supposed to be like an amiibo kind of thing. It was $10. It was a Star Fox one. I was really tempted to buy that, but I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to spend $10 just so I can get past this threshold.
Yeah.
So I'm looking around. All the other games that are cheaper are just junk. Like, just nothing interested me. I checked PlayStation. I checked Xbox. I checked Switch. Nothing was interesting. I looked for like a cheap card, like, you know, like $10 for the eShop, you know, something like that. They really didn't have that. I looked at Sayonara Wild Hearts to see if they had that. Well, there's no physical edition of the game yet, and Best Buy doesn't carry the digital version. So, Joe, I tried.
Back off, Joe.
I did try, but that wasn't going to happen. So I ended up finding this game for the Switch. It was a digital download, $6. Is called A Normal Lost Phone. What? And it's a indie game. I guess it was originally developed for iOS and Android, and then they later ported it into Windows and the Switch.
Uh-huh.
And the concept behind it is you find a phone, and you don't know what happened to the person who the phone belongs to.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a detective kind of thing where you're going through this process of looking through the phone and reading these text messages and emails and trying to determine what happened to this person using clues, and stuff is behind a password. So you have to try to figure out the password depending on what the clues are. And it's a really fascinating game. And ultimately it deals with an 18-year-old boy who realizes that he's transgender and he's not comfortable coming out to his parents. Uh-huh. And he lives in a town where people are very hostile to gays and transgender people. And he goes through this whole process of like finding a forum of other people that are kind of going through a similar situation where they don't feel like they have a home, but this place is their home. And this whole story kind of evolves into this thing where like you realize that this person ran away and they're trying not to be found. Like they went someplace where they feel safe. And it's a really touching story, like, because this is something that I've never experienced, you know, personally. And like, I have no idea what transgender people go through and the hate that they suffer from other people. And it's kind of going through this experience is very eye-opening to me. And I beat the game. That was my second game that I beat. It was very short. You know, I think I played it for maybe an hour last night, and then I woke up this morning and I finished it. And for $6, you know, it's a very simple game, but if you're into like going through and diving into like all these different clues and trying to like, you know, read about somebody's life, learn about them, I think it's really worth checking out.
Okay, cool. I mean, I think that you've been really successful in finding some pretty interesting games with some really unique premises, like, you know, even just Celeste, which I know is way more popular than some of these other ones. It's still a cool premise, and I know it deals with like a lot of personal issues and stuff like that. And, you know, we discovered Grease together. So it's cool that there's a lot of games now that are putting a lot of direction towards real life, you know, events and issues and stuff. So I think that's really cool. It
is. And, you know, it's I think it sheds some light onto a real problem that we have right now in this country in a way that's kind of unique and refreshing. You know, like we can have a political discussion about stuff, but it's not the same as like experiencing somebody's story. And this really is, you know, experiencing somebody's story out of order, you know, because you're kind of following these clues, you're reading these text messages, and you're kind of seeing the relationship this person has. Like, I didn't know if the person, like before you find out that they're transgender, like I'm wondering, oh God, did this person get murdered?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the path the story starts leading you down, and then you realize that no, they're just trying to find someplace that they're safe, and they don't feel safe in their own home. Like that was just it really hit me,
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of Grease, and sometimes I still think about that game about, or just in terms of what it's really about, because we had a couple interpretations about it.
Yeah.
And, there was another game that I mentioned on a previous episode called Papo and Yo, or Papo e Yo. And that's a game that came out for PS3 a long time ago, and that one deals with, father issues, and like how, I guess, like the son or the character you're playing the game has issues with his alcoholic father, and the way that the father is presented in the game is like a weird monster. So the only reason I know the premise is because I watched an interview or behind the scenes look about the game forever ago when I was playing a demo of it. And I was like, wow, like, even back then they were, already experimenting with games that were, focused on deep-seated issues and personal issues that people have in their normal lives. So I think that aspect of gaming is important, and I think it's a really, just cool avenue to go down, so that way it's not just totally fiction or totally, here's, you're going to play as a fucking monster hunter, or you're going to play as a cowboy in the Wild West. Like, we're going to give you something that's a little bit more real.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to be able to do that, like you want to play as a superhero or fucking Spider-Man, you're swinging between buildings. It's nice to have that escape, but, like we've talked about video games as an art form and as a medium to kind of get a message across before. And like sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And I think that's really based on what your interpretation is of it. And for me, like this interpretation, I think, really resonated, this is a game I never even knew existed 24 hours ago. And now I've experienced this person's story, and it was pretty cool. Like, I'm glad that I accidentally had to buy this game. You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's the best part about it, man, is sometimes even just a demo, an accidental demo or an accidental purchase can sometimes, really go a long way. And that's kind of how it was for Journey a little bit for me. I remember I bought that just after watching a couple quick videos, not even really knowing much about it. I was like, oh, this game looks kind of neat. Picked it up, and, now it's in my top, 10.
Well, yeah. Let's see here. What else? Do you want me to keep hogging the conversation, or do you have something you want to jump in with?
No, that's fine. I mean, I think it's been enjoyable for me to listen to some of the titles that you've been, experimenting with and playing and, beating as well, which is such a foreign term for us.
I beat 2 games in 24 hours. Suck it, everybody.
That's huge. Well, and you have the right to say that now. Yeah. And it's funny because I think we both had that moment. I know I had that moment. I want to say, what was it, like 2-3 months ago or something? I had a couple games that I beat.
Yep.
I think it was The Stillness of the Wind, and I beat also the What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yes.
I think it was just those 2, but, we all know how short those games are, but I put a lot of effort into beating them, and I really enjoyed primarily just Edith Finch, but it was still nice to beat a game and see some credits.
Yeah. Well, so yesterday, I actually acquired a pile of games as well, too. Our friend Vency, who was a participant on the 50th episode roundtable, he went up to his sister's house a couple months ago, right? And I guess they had all these different games that they were going to donate or throw away or something. And he's like, nope, I know a guy. So
wow,
he grabbed 2 like huge bags full of mostly portable games. But there was a Nintendo Wii, which came with a literally like brand new Pro controller. Like the box was open, but this controller has never been used. Like it still has like the bag around the fucking wire, so nobody has ever touched this controller. And there were 5 or 6 Wii games that came with it. 7. Let's see here, 2, 4, 6, 7. Which are mostly kind of meh games. The best one is Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword.
Okay, I've always wanted to play that one. That one is for Wii U only, right?
Well, this is the Wii version, so I'm not sure if they made it for the Wii U or not.
I think they did.
I'd have to look into that. But this one comes with a copy of a soundtrack too, which is pretty cool. It's the Legend of Zelda 25th Anniversary Symphony. So that's going to be pretty cool. I have to check that out. And then included with that is a pile of Nintendo DS and 3DS games, many of which are complete in box, manual, case, and everything. But then I have like this cross section of games that like have no box, and then I have a cross section of boxes that have no games.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me angry, Will.
Well, I would imagine it would because, you're a lot like me. Everything has to be, complete in box or, it has to look good if it's not. I remember when I was collecting some older games, if it was like an N64 game and it wasn't in the box or if it had a sticker on it, I would definitely be a little bit skeptical.
Yeah.
But if you found a N64 game that looked brand new with no stickers, it was always just like, I'm just getting this for the sheer fact that this thing looks fucking new.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this, I'm thankful, to have these, don't get me wrong, but there's some really heavy hitters that are just missing. Like, for example, Pokemon Platinum version for the DS, Pokemon White for the DS. Like, I have a copy of Pokemon White 2, but I have the box for Pokemon White 1. Like it's a mismatch. It's really very bizarre and a little bit frustrating. Like, there's a copy of Pokemon Black, but the box is Pokemon Black 2. I don't know if they bought these games used and that's how it came, or if they had them both and just lost them. I don't know. But there's some other really good games in here too. Like, there's a lot of Pokemon stuff, which I've struggled to get into over the years. I've never found a Pokemon that I've liked. There's a couple Zelda games, Spirit Tracks. There's Phantom Hourglass. There's Kirby Superstar Ultra. There's Super Mario 64 DS, Mario and Luigi. So, I mean, there's some really good games here. And then there's, some really, bizarre shovelware, Quick Spot. Or I have a manual, but no game, no box for something called Disney Club Penguin, Herbert's Revenge.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You always seem to get your mitts on weird shit like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it happens, but here we are. And then there's a couple, GBA games. Here's one called Noddy, Noddy. Okay. I have no idea what that is.
I feel like that belongs in the same realm as Glover. Glover 64.
Oh my God.
What a strange game. I'll never forget looking up videos of that. I think we were either live on the recording or I looked up after the show.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody in the comments was like, this game has the most disturbing music. And I turned it up and I was like, holy fuck, this is from the depths of hell.
It really was. Yeah, that game is, it should not exist.
No.
But yeah, so right now I have I have a Nintendo DSi that I just finished charging. I have a 3DS that's in the process of charging. So this is kind of cool. All this stuff needs to get cleaned up, but it looks like it's all in pretty good shape. Should be in working order, I think. I'm not even really sure. Let's see. Oh, this one turns on. Oh, there you go.
Nice little sound effect.
Yeah. And there's also Action Replay DS is here. Action Replay DS and DSi. I don't know what I can do with those, but I suspect that I can do illegal shit.
Oh, I love that. That just, that brings me back to the days of Dreamcast, where I remember going over to this kid's house and he had a Dreamcast and it was one of those modded systems, or maybe it wasn't modded and you were just, he had one of those big library of games, blank discs that he had games on, because I remember Dreamcast, you could burn games and shit.
Yeah.
And he had one of those big zip-up binders full of just blank disc, burnt games. And I can't remember now. Did you have to have a modded Dreamcast to do that? Or
no?
That was the beauty of it, right? You could download the game and
it's
then
the reason the Dreamcast failed. But yeah,
right. But that was, I mean,
yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. That was pretty highly illegal to do that, right? Just downloading the game, putting it on a disc, and playing it.
Very much so. I mean,
right.
You'll never get caught, but yes.
No. But I remember people were like selling them too, and like that's even worse.
Yeah.
So it just made me think of that for a second. You're like, I could probably do some pretty legal shit. It just made me think of him, like immediately, like his face just came to mind, and I just imagined like his little apartment, and he had the Dreamcast and that giant binder, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And he had it set up like very much like Elliot style from Mr. Robot, like, where he kicks the thing underneath the couch every time he's done like writing a file for somebody.
Uh-huh.
Like it was very much just like that.
Yeah, I'm just like going through this thing now. It's pretty cool. Yeah. There's just I don't know, it's always a very fascinating insight into how other people use video games. Like I have like a way that I take care of my systems. I have a way that I, track everything. I have a way that I organize everything, a way I take care of everything, right? And then like you get your hands on something that somebody else had previously. And for better or for worse, like the way they took care of it is going to be different than the way you took care of it,
Most of the time, yes.
And it's I've always found it fascinating how people treat their games, and like, it's a difference between a kid versus an adult in a lot of cases, but even adults, like some adults just don't give a shit. And then you have some kids that like worship the ground that these systems were made on. And like these things are dirty, but like they're in good condition. Like nothing that I can't clean up with a Q-tip and some alcohol, But then like I have these games that are all mismatched. I'm like, what the fuck were you doing?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
It's like this just very bizarre thing. Like I have all these loose 3DS games, and like I just wonder what happened to those cases. Because like clearly they cared for their stuff. Like, did they buy those games without cases? Did the cases get chewed by a dog by accident? Everything else is in great condition. Everything else is spotless. So like what went wrong with these,
I think it really just brings a lot of awareness and kind of points a finger at how sloppy most people are. And I mean, I know that might sound kind of shameful to say, but I mean, it's just kind of the reality of it. Like a lot of people, generally just don't take care of their things properly. Yeah. And, I've seen people live in kind of like very messy rooms, and, I've hung out with people many, many years ago that would, have a video game case that was like down the back of their desk with like 18 dust bunnies on it. They're like, oh, there it is. And they say it like nonchalantly too. And they just like wipe off the dust bunnies as though it's just like wiping off like, it's like tying your fucking shoe. It's like, dude, have you thought about buying a vacuum? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, could we just assess this situation before you just nonchalantly dust off like 18 dust bunnies and be like, oh, there it is? Like,
well,
no.
I'm not going to throw stones with that because I'm surrounded by dust bunnies, but...
Right, but like at least like, when I go into that game room of yours, I get a little anxiety because like there's so many games and there's so much shit everywhere, but at least you have it to where it's like functionally like findable.
Yeah.
There you can discover things in there, and like there's a little bit of rhyme and reason to it, but it's always shocking to me when you come across a situation where there's just no order to anything. And I've always been, I think, naturally OCD, and I'm thankful for that, because even though it drives myself crazy, I'd rather just have my things like neatly put together. And I've always been that gamer from the very beginning that if it's not brand new, or if it's not in like mint condition, if I'm buying it pre-owned, I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
That's just the way I am.
I'm the same way. Like I'll look at a game at the game store. I'll check the disc for scratches. I'll check to make sure that it's, the manuals aren't bent or broken or anything like that. It's important. Condition is hugely important to me. When people are giving you stuff, it's a little bit more difficult to have that control, especially when you're getting a lot of things at once because you haven't had a chance to kind of go through it and see what's good and what's bad. I would rather have access to the games than not have access to them at all. Too,
Yeah,
but it's definitely a fine line,
It is a fine line, and I think it does, depend on the situation. In some cases, I remember this one time, I really wanted a brand new copy of Asura's Wrath, and it was really hard to find because I was, the game was sort of out of production at the time that I was looking for it new.
Yeah,
and I remember going to a GameStop in Waterbury because I was working in that mall at one point. And I remember the guy's like, "Oh, I've got one at another GameStop down the road for me. I'll go grab it for you." And I was like, "What? Like you
Yep.
don't even know me?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's not a problem. Like I know where you work because I worked like right next door to a GameStop." And I was like, "Holy shit, thanks!" And like he went down to another GameStop, got me a brand new shrink wrap copy,
Hmm.
and that's still the copy I have to this day. And like I'll do shit like that. Like if I don't want a used version, I'll partake in somebody doing something like that for me, and of course, be super grateful. But
Yeah.
other people might be like, don't even bother, man. I'll just give me the used one, and
Right.
they'll take a case with 3 stickers overlaid on it,
Oh
and
man.
the case looks like it's got a couple like booger smears on it, and they're okay with that. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just not okay with it, dude. I gotta have something new. Yeah, I'm that person that opens up a game console or a game case, and I'll smell
Yep.
that nice plastic smell, and it's a big thing for me. It's how I grew up with electronics and games, and it's kind of a '90s thing in some ways, and I still hold on to those moments.
It's funny that you're talking about this now because I'm looking at one of the games that I do that I got from this collection here. It's a copy of Pokemon Rumble Blast for the 3DS.
Oh God.
And the front of the case is, immaculate, right? And the game is immaculate. There's nothing wrong with the game. The manual's in here, everything's great. And then you flip it over and it looks like a dog chewed the shit out of it. or actually more accurately, I think a kid stabbed it with like a pencil repeatedly.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, what happened? But then like I go down, to the next game in the pile and it's immaculate. Like there's actually nothing wrong with it. And then I go to the next one and the game is missing, but there's a manual and a case. And then I go to the next one and it's just the game. I'm like, what is going on here? It's just very bizarre.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same effect as that scene from American Psycho when they're comparing the business cards and
Kind of,
you know,
yeah.
he starts sweating, and I get moments like that, and I feel like Patrick Bateman when you see somebody like grab a disc by like the disc itself,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh my God, dude, like, can we start this over? And I'll do like a little training class on like how to keep these things organized and touch things properly. And it also kind of harkens back to a club that Damien might remember. I was a part of a club on oneup.com, rest in peace.
Wow.
I love that site, or I loved it. And it was a club called the Clean Controllers Club. And it was just, like a silly online forum or whatever. And I remember being a part of it because it was just, even back then, people took a lot of pride in, keeping a clean controller. And, I still think that we suffer from gamers that will eat a bag of Cheetos, wipe off their hand on their sweatpants, and then go right back to the controller again. And, that's enough to make my fucking skin crawl.
Will, I want you to just take a quick second to check the Skype chat for a moment because I just sent you a link to something completely appropriate to our conversation from our good friends at Retro Games Plus, located in Connecticut.
Oh my gosh, look at that. I don't know. I think our business cards are okay. Oh my God, this looks nothing like him.
No, it's terrible. It's
$44.95. The nerve.
So if you want an action figure of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho and you have $44.95, swing out by Retro Games Plus. I think it might be the Orange Store. I'm not sure which one, but good store. Great place. I do love them, but I do feel that's a little expensive for an action figure.
Yeah, it's the only problem. I like that store as well, but sometimes they do hike the prices a little bit on things. But I kind of understand it. They have a business to run, and they do have to, make a profit. And some of these games are very hard to find. So
yeah,
I understand it at the end of the day.
Their pricing is competitive with I think fair market value.
Did you see the comment? This dude Angelo goes, "Is that eggshell?" Oh God, that is great. Features briefcase, axe, knives, nail gun, videotape, Walkman, alternate hand, and bass.
Wow.
And of course, a pinstripe suit to match.
Gotta love it. But yeah, his face looks mangled. So what's going on there?
It does look mangled. It looks like a combination of that dude. Oh man, I can't remember his name now. He's in that movie Moon.
Oh, Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, it looks like Sam Rockwell mixed with Christian Bale.
Kinda. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. He's a very good actor, by the way, Sam Rockwell.
Oh, he's tremendous.
Very underrated. Very underrated.
I agree 100%. Really good. Well, I don't have anything else to talk about. What else you got?
I don't know, man. I'm really looking forward to doing this more often, back to our regular schedule. I'm excited for next year. Drew and I have a lot planned for the show. I'm looking forward to getting back into more of a routine schedule with just gaming, like personal gaming.
Yeah.
Getting back into Death Stranding. And yeah, just gaming more and looking forward to the future of the show. And yeah, just kind of getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, man. Me too. Like I really enjoyed doing the 50th episode. It was a lot of fun. But I think having these weekly conversations, definitely, I miss those.
Yeah, you can't beat it. It's good. It's like a real check-in with each other and everybody else to see what's going on. And, I love the mailbag. And again, we're sorry that Discord had issues, but unfortunately it's out of our control. But yeah, and then going back to episode 50, I really did not anticipate that show to be as long as it was and to be able to break it down in so many episodes, but I'm glad we did. And I think, it was a real ton of fun.
Yeah, I agree. So, Will, we got a game night coming up. What's going on? What's going on with that?
Yes. So we have agreed to play Titanfall 2, which is free on PSN this month. So I'm very excited for that because I did almost buy this game a couple times, again, from the pressures of Joe and Raph. And I'm looking forward to trying it because I know they mentioned it's actually a really good game.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what Respawn has done with this because I never played the first one because as far as I can remember, the first one was Xbox exclusive. So I don't think I had one at the time. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think we had a lot of fun with both game nights, even though we were both not a part of both of them.
Yeah.
But, I'm looking forward to this. We're going to have some promotions going out soon for that. And yeah, I'm going brand new into it. Like, I really don't know much about the game. I've watched no videos on it. I understand that there's like a mech suit or something like that. So that's about it, all I know. But yeah, it should be a fun night. Hopefully we can get enough people together. I'm sure we will.
So,
and
you've never played Titanfall 1 either?
Never. I remember watching a couple videos of, I think, maybe Damien.
Yeah.
Somebody was playing it at the time in our group of friends. And I remember it looking really cool.
It is. It's a fun game. I've dabbled into. I have a copy of it that I grabbed on the cheap. I think I paid like $5 for it. And it's a really great game. I didn't finish the campaign, but the campaign was becoming pretty compelling. Surprised I didn't finish that. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I think you'll dig it. I really think you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just the camaraderie of getting together and having those multiplayer sessions is something that we don't do often enough. And I think game night has been such a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And, to have Joe and Raph help us out is immensely helpful. So, thank you guys. And we're really looking forward to the next session. So,
yeah, I'm really enjoying what we've been doing with that so far. So hopefully everybody that's listening will take an opportunity to participate. If not with this one, maybe the next one. Just keep an eye on the website. We'll be advertising all kinds of information on that. But the best way to get in touch with us about the game night and all the coordination that goes with it is join our Discord room. We have a link for that in the show notes as well as on WDGRPodcast.com. And that's going to be the best way to talk with us, talk with the community. We have a great community of people. And, it's all friends and fans of video games that are doing these game nights. We're going to make it a regular thing, hopefully. So come on in and join us.
Yeah, please. I think that's the biggest thing for us, and I'm sure you would agree, Drew. The Discord is, such a fantastic place to come and find us because we're in there, more often than anywhere else, and there's great conversation happening in there. We have a great amount of people, and we'd love to talk to you. We're certainly not going to bite, so please come on in and come hang out.
That's right. So I think that's going to do it for this episode, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So, folks, thank you for listening. Check us out on the web, WDGRPodcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WDGRPodcast. And, if you like what we're doing, leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you can leave a review. We'd appreciate it. We're available all places that podcasts are available. And I guess that's it. I don't know. I feel like I haven't done this in 4 weeks. I feel like weird. Like,
I know. I'm
how
in
do
the
I
same
close
boat.
a show?
I exactly, like, that's why I was like stumbling towards the end. I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Like, where are we doing? Like, where are we going with this? Like, it's just, it's weird,
Yeah.
but it's good to be back. And I think we're going to be just fine on the next episode. So
That's right. So on that note, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time, folks.
See you guys.